So today's Friday, August 21st. I just wanted to film a quick update video on the truck and try to make some more small repairs. So I got some other small replacement parts from Rock Auto, and I'm going to see what I can do to make some more quick repairs here if possible. So one repair I want to see if I can tackle is trying to get this driver's door to close properly. As you can see, it doesn't fully close unless I slam it really hard, and I'm tired of having to slam it all the time. And the problem is with this door pin here, it's completely missing the nylon bushing. So got a new one of these here from Rock Auto. I'm gonna see if I can attempt to bolt the new one in here. And I've also got a replacement idle air control valve. This one came with the Gasket, even though it's not a Motorcraft brand. So I've been having issues with this trying to start. Especially when I first try to fire this thing up and the engine's still cold. It likes to stall until I give it gas for a little bit. I haven't started this up yet today, but I'm sure it's still going to do the same thing. So without touching the gas at all. See? Sometimes it just stalls altogether, and other times it just runs really rough and it's kind of shaky. And then the idle goes up and down a little bit. It doesn't seem nearly as bad right now just because it's warm outside. But the idle isn't always perfectly stable. Because I drove this thing to and from work all week and I was just wanting to stall as soon as I started it, so I'm not exactly sure what the issue is. I drove this to my buddy's shop last night, and that's about 20 miles from my house. But anyway, you know, it runs and drives fine other than that issue when I first started, and then it leaks a bit of oil and a bit of coolant. But there's still more work to be done on this thing in the long term. Alright, so before I try taking this off, I think it might be a good idea to mark this with a Sharpie or something, just so I get it positioned exactly right, since there's only the single bolt in there. So I'm going to go and do that. So I've traced around that. I'm sure it's going to require a wrench to break that thing loose. So I have to figure out what size this is, and I've got these little socket bits with the Torx things on here, so 47, that's probably too small. I'm going to say it's a T50, so we'll see if I can break this loose with a wrench. Oh, there it goes. Just barely got it. Okay. And luckily they supplied a new bolt with the new one. So yeah, this is definitely worn out and seen better days. But you need the nice bushing in there for the door pin to fit properly so it can close. And that's all dirty, so here's our new one. It's a Dorman. I found this from Rock Auto. If you want to see the part number, I guess it's 38448. Fits forward 7/16. So anyway, this just goes in the same way, and then has this little spacer piece to go on like how the old one has here. So we'll just try to bolt this on now. Alright, I got it started by hand, and it does have a lot of room to move up and down in here, so that's why it's a good idea to mark the old one so you can get it oriented exactly right, and then the door will have a better chance of closing properly. So just gotta hold that in there and tighten this up all the way with the wrench, and then we'll see how well it closes. Seems to look pretty good right about there. Just snug this up good and tight. And let's give her a shot. Oh, that's beautiful. I didn't even have to slam it hard or anything. See, then it gets this all full of grease. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I'm happy with that. And then I've got my idle air control valve. So here's my 4.9 liter straight 6. Not even sure if I showed the engine in the previous video yet. But anyway, last night when I was at my buddy's shop, we replaced the temperature sender, and we actually got the gauge working for the coolant temp. And the sender actually goes in on the passenger side way below the manifold and bolts into the side of the block. So you can kind of only get to it from underneath, and you have to crank the wheel hard to the left just to have enough clearance to get under there. But anyway, this is my old IAC valve here. So this connector there just unplugs, and then should be able to just unbolt it. Although I probably need 2 hands. Alright, I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing, but these 2 bolts are 8mm. It's really awkward standing on this step ladder and being hunched over, and the sun's right in my eyes. So that comes off. The little wires here, and then the other bolt. Some kind of orange goop on these bolts for some reason. So that unbolts, and then there's an old gasket underneath. Ooh. Alright, luckily that came off, but that's a really crusty old gasket, and it's all indented. I don't think it's cracked, but it's definitely hardened. So now I've sprayed a little bit of engine degreaser on a paper towel just to try to wipe this down to have a nice clean surface. So hopefully this will take enough of the dirt and grime off of here. Could probably give it one more go. But I want to just have a clean mating surface for the new gasket to go on. Well, I'm thinking the gasket can go on either way. I don't see any kind of indicator marks. And this little paper here isn't even any kind of instructional guide. This is just about the warranty information. So here's our new part. Manufactured in USA. I I guess that's good, even though it's not a Motorcraft part. Hitachi. ABV 0032. Air bypass valve. So, try to put this sucker on there now. Snug these up a little bit. There we go. Don't want these crazy tight, I'm sure. Plug this guy in here. And then maybe we can try to fire the truck up and see if it starts any better. But again, it's probably 80 degrees out here still, even in the early evening. I still have the old part over here, which could be the original, who knows? It says Ford on it. Can't even read the part number or anything on this label, so here's a look at it again. Alright, let's see what's gonna happen here. Look at the mess I made. Alright. Without touching the gas, here we go. Probably no difference. But yeah, in the morning when it's cooler out, I have to rev the engine for at least a minute or two before it runs smoothly. But now it's warm enough outside, and I've had the truck out here all day in the sun, so it doesn't take long to get warm enough. But at least when it first cranks over, it still wants to stall. Now it's okay because I just started it. I'm not sure if the RPM was even that high when I first started it up before. Not sure if that made any difference. It's hard to say. I might have to try to start it up in the morning sometime and then see what else happens. But at least that first time when I cranked it over, it seemed like it was about to stall, so I actually did hit the gas. And like I said, we fixed the temp gauge last night, so it does actually work now. It just creeps up really slowly, and I haven't driven this at all today, so it's still cold. I think the next thing I might suspect could be the temperature sensor, which is different from the sender part. The sender part that bolts into the side of the engine block below the manifold on the passenger side just registers to the gauge. But there's a sensor that actually registers to the computer ECU. I'll try to show that, or where it is. That's scary with any kind of shroud cover over the cooling fan. I really don't want to get anywhere near that. It's very dangerous looking. So that's probably the next thing I would suspect, if it's temperature related. And also my part of the exhaust is missing after the catalytic converter. It just cuts off underneath. And actually I have a bunch of video clips on my phone that I'd like to put into YouTube videos. I'm not sure how to get them all brought over to the computer. But anyway, then I broke the little handle on this vent window here. I kind of just stuck it up there with glue, but it's obviously not strong enough to hold. I'm not sure how to replace that because the whole handle lever just came off in my hand, and you might end up having to replace the entire window. I don't know if you can get this black part at the bottom of the glass to come off, so that's kind of unfortunate. And then I don't know, some of these little teeth things came out of here. So this is all flimsy plastic, but anyway, it still runs and drives pretty nicely, and the mileage is 144.97, 144,000 I just turned over. So that's really not bad at all for 91. So there's the temp gauge. It's up into the normal range now, so that's pretty good. Fuel gauge still moves up and down a little bit, so sending unit might be going out, I don't know. And then in my rear, or my front tank, I think the pump might be bad because the engine doesn't hardly run at all when I switch to that other tank. I guess I'll shut this down now. So that's pretty cool. And then, as I said, part of the exhaust is missing after the cat. And then I got to figure out something with the rear view mirror. We were trying all these different adhesives and even some tape, like this extreme 3M tape, and the mirror still wouldn't hold. So not sure what to do about that unless I can find some other aftermarket mirror and just screw it in above the windshield on the roof up here. And then got a couple other replacement parts I might just have my buddies help me with. I've got a blower motor resistor control module thing for the heating and air conditioning in there. The air conditioner doesn't blow cold, so we're gonna have to go through that system. And then we had more long-term plans over the winter, I guess, to fix certain things. I can tell it's at least leaking oil from the valve cover gasket, and obviously that's not going to be easy to remove, and some of this could get cracked and whatnot, so I think we're going to do that over the winter. And then I'm not sure if it's leaking oil from anywhere else, but definitely it's wet all down the side up here at the top end, so that needs to be done. I've already ordered a Felpro gasket, and my buddies, they can do powder coating and stuff like that, so we kind of have some cool long-term plans to maybe dress up the engine and maybe powder coat a few parts to make it look pretty, and then we can clean up the whole engine bay by eliminating some of the emission stuff I don't entirely need anymore. And it should be pretty fun. As an update on my diesel, it's no longer here. I'm having my buddy just scrap it because the rust was really horrific, even worse than we expected. I have a bunch of video clips on my phone of some of that to do with my diesel wagon. I'd like to upload those in a YouTube video, but I'm not sure how to transfer them over to the computer exactly. But yeah, that's why I got this thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And this truck came from Virginia, so it's not all rusted out. The only body rot is just barely starting here in the wheel arches. And just pretty minimal surface rust on the frame, but really nothing too crazy, so it's in nice shape for being nearly 30 years old. And the interior is nice too. I've really only got a few splits in the seat here, and otherwise it's not too bad. Headliner's beautiful. Door panels are a little beat up. I think this driver's side one's worse, but it's really not a bad truck. I really love it so far. So I drove this to work all this week, every day, and I don't have a long commute or anything, but it ran and drove pretty well, other than the starting issues again, and I'm really glad we've had beautiful weather all week. So it was only in the 70s. Get some nice fresh air with the vent windows, and it's a fun drive. But yeah, when we have really nice beautiful weather in the 70s, it's nice driving this thing, and it's not too bad without the AC working, unless you're stopped at a light for an eternity. And actually, when I came back from my buddy's shop last night, I saw a guy stopped at a traffic light in the lane next to me with one of these trucks, the same body style. He said his was a 90. So I rolled down the window and beeped the horn, and that was funny. I'm still not sure if this is closing any better. Seems about the same, unless I need to lube something in here with WD-40. Maybe I'll try to do that. It seems like it should close better with that new pin and the bushing in there, but I don't know. It might be that this is all crudded up and needs lube. So yeah, I had about a 20-mile commute each way to my buddy's shop, and this thing does leak some oil, so after the full week of driving it, I lost about half a quart of oil so far. So I just have to keep topping it off for now. And let's hope I don't lock the keys inside. I got them in my pocket. Maybe that helped. But I really didn't like having to slam this door super hard because it messed up my position on this mirror. And it's not super tight. The other one is, so I don't know if there's even any way to tighten this up anymore, but yeah. Hopefully that's fixed, or at least somewhat improved. Didn't feel like I slammed it all that hard. So that's gonna wrap it up. Thanks for watching, guys.